Thank you all for joining us today, and I speak on behalf of my fellow trustees. You know, when we began the search for the 19th president of St. Francis College, it was a tough time for us. And we looked for someone whose leadership would help unleash the full potential of the talented students, faculty, and administrators at the college. Well, I tell you, I speak with great gratitude to the search committee and to all involved, because they certainly did their job, and we're blessed to have Dr. Martinez-Saenz here with us. In only a few months, as you've seen from our student speakers and others, we have learned, everyone here has learned how marvelous he is and the leadership he will provide for us. And we are looking forward to many years of transformative leadership. So, now, by the virtue of the authority of the St. Francis College Board of Trustees, I welcome you as the 19th president of St. Francis College.
It's bad to get a standing ovation before you speak. I hope they got that on camera, so if it goes sideways, you'll think that was the standing ovation. We can fool people. So much to say, you can probably imagine this isn't as scripted as we might hope. We haven't lost the gospel like we did yesterday, but the bishop, thank you very much. I was going to lead with that prayer of St. Francis, and the reason being that that is unquestionably my favorite prayer. It's a reflection I commit on every morning. And it's absolutely critical that we set the day, you know, and we're trying to set up what we're going to do. We've got to set ourselves for the day, and I appreciate that. I won't repeat it, but thank you very much. Much gratitude to many, 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 many people. I'm not going to be able to thank everyone. Don't worry, the pace will change. Some of you know me. But you need to hold on. I was brief yesterday. That was a reprieve for some of you. But the reprieve is not coming twice. But to the board, just a couple of recognitions. John, thank you very much for your support. I guess it's been a short 4 or 5 months. Absolutely critical to feel the support of the board. And it's not to mean that we're always in agreement. One of the things I always tell people, dissonance. You need dissonance for us to move forward. And I think there's the appropriate amount of dissonance. And it's absolutely critical that it is in place. Dennis Salomon, you know, Dennis, I will say, he kept me in this space. There were moments, because of the timing of the search, that I thought we weren't going to be able to make this happen. And simply because, as I think people know, family comes first, and transition was going to be too difficult for the children. But I had conversations with Dennis numerous times, and it wasn't just about staying or not staying in the search. I was trying to get a feel for the kind of person he is, because that's what I needed to know. What kind of human beings are we dealing with? And Dennis, I thank you very much for your honesty, for your willingness to have extended conversations, and some of them were quite long, for your willingness to listen and to share. Thank you very much. Hector Batista, who was down here, he told me one day I had him at hello. I'm not quite sure that's true, but it certainly sounds good. But he chaired the inauguration committee, and not only that, he's been a true champion in terms of pushing and trying to ensure that I'm positioned to do the work that we need to get done here. And so, Hector, I thank you very much. A couple of remarks on a couple of families that have to be honored. One's the Macchiarola family. Frank Macchiarola, his presidency was critical, and we have to acknowledge who came before us. I don't want to go too far back, so we're going to stop at Frank. But one of the things that you see in the space is when Mary is still committed and still present. You see, she's still present in our space. That signals something about the kind of place we are. I thank you for your presence, Mary. And Michael, who disappeared apparently. You can come in, brother. Now you got to come in and sit down. He had to feed the meter because Eric, is Eric still down here? Eric, brother, we couldn't take care of the meters today. Yeah, we'll talk about that after. But Michael serves on the board of trustees, and again, the presence is absolutely critical, because what it signals is, again, is something deep about the institution and what it does. I also want to recognize the Dugan family. You know, Barbara, I'm going to tell you, your presence is remarkable, I think. For those of you who don't know, Brendan Dugan died last year. And this is a woman that believes in this place. And I know she's grieving, but she's here with us. That is just powerful, powerful. In terms of what it says about not only her, but about the place. I appreciate your presence. Also recognition of Patrick. I don't know where he is, but Patrick, Brendan's son, shortly after Brendan's death, decided to take an even more engaged role in the life of the college, and he's leading our alumni association. Again, a testament not only to the legacy that Brendan left, but to this place and people's willingness to serve. I thank you very much for your presence, brother. Absolutely critical. I've got family and friends that are here, and I hope y'all recognize. I can't name y'all, or maybe I can, I don't know. Just so you know, they have locked the doors. Talk about a captive audience. No, but really, I mean, I think it's, you know, I was quite moved, I would say, yesterday walking into St. Charles. I mean, just seeing the presence of folks, it's been overwhelming. Absolutely overwhelming. My brother, who's sitting here in the front row, not really, but he got here late. That's the only thing. I called him out on that. I looked at my wife and said, "Where's my brother?" And she says, "I don't know. I think he's lost. I mean, I think he's lost, and now he's found." That was the prodigal son yesterday. Yes, he took it to heart. So now we're going to extend some mercy. Mercy, mercy me. Oh. But this is a person that has supported and loved me unconditionally. And at the moments when I didn't deserve it, thank you for your presence. My family, who, just so y'all get a feel for this, I signed a contract August 8th. We sold a house August 24th. We were in Brooklyn that evening. We were settled in a new house, and I started work September 1. That's not easy. I remember talking to Johnny. He said, "Well, you don't have to start September 1. If you don't, you can start later." I said, "John, you let me worry about that. We're starting September 1. And when we did, and there's been a lot going on there, but just bring some levity to it. One of the good things about this is my daughter, who's an aspiring volleyball player, is really building up her shoulder muscles. I don't know if she wants to come up and demonstrate, but she's not as extroverted as her father, but I'll demonstrate for you. I say, Mami, ¿cómo estaba el colegio hoy? I say, Mami, ¿te gustó la comida? Everything. I call her Mommy, but she's obviously not. But here's one of the things I want to share. You all do realize these are prefatory remarks. I told you to get ready. But one of the things that I think we overlook is the wisdom of children. They have insights, incredible insights. I think I shared this story once, and this is about our son, and I'm going to share it now. We're on a subway, and I think some of you heard me. I think I shared it. I don't know where Alexandria is, but I think I might have shared it. She probably forgot, so I don't know, where are you? I shared it maybe in a conversation on hospitality, but we were on a train, and there was a man sitting on, laying down, sleeping on the subway. And my son was very curious about why he was sleeping on the subway. I'll get the story wrong, but don't correct me, Julie. Just let me tell my version today. And he said to my wife, Julie, who was, why is that man sleeping on the train? Why is he sleeping there? I mean, it's not comfortable. And she's trying to explain, well, some people, don't have anywhere to sleep. What do you mean? Why doesn't he get a hotel room then if he wants to sleep? And so I said, well, he doesn't have any money for a hotel room. And he said, well, I got some money. Why don't you just give him some of my money so he can get a hotel room to sleep tonight? Let's not dismiss that. Sometimes we do, oh, how cute. That's not cute. That's what we're called to do. You see, and the kids remind us of what our obligations are. And so I ask you to think about that. Listen to those voices, because the lessons are deep, and we want to dismiss them, but they're not supposed to be dismissed. And then Julie, who is a person that I think believes in me more than I believe in myself. I don't think there's any question about that, actually. I remember when I first interviewed for a job, and I said, I don't know if they're going to offer me the job, not this job. Although she probably said in this job too. She says that everything I do, she's like, oh no, they're going to offer you a job. I'm like, that's not the way this works. I mean, you might think I'm special, but I'm really not that special. No, they're going to offer you a job. They're going to offer you a job. She's been right maybe half the time. She's like, I've been right all the time. Yeah, there she goes. We don't want to bicker right here, so I'm going to say she was right 3/4 of the time. But it's incredibly important to have someone believing in you when you have doubts. I will say that she may not remember this, or she may say I made this up, but I remember when we were going to Minnesota, we had bought a house a couple years earlier, and it was a pretty nice house, and we were kind of happy, and I decided I wanted to learn more about higher education, so I wanted to come out to a different type of institution. So I applied to regional comprehensives because the mission is aligned, very aligned with our mission, although it's not values-based in the same way. And we were getting ready to go, and I said, God, I sure do hope I can do this job. It was that kind of silence. She looked at me, what? You hope you can do this job? We are leaving our home and you hope you can do this job? I was like, well, sorry. I shouldn't have told you that, but it is true. But again, that kind of sense that you have and you have to have. And so thank you, honey, although I don't always say it, but I appreciate your presence and your support. June 13th, 1992, and December 13th, 2017. My parents aren't here today. Those are the dates of their death. My mom died 25 years after my father passed, and passed recently. And As those of you who've lost parents know, it's never easy when you expect it, when you don't expect it, when they're older, they're younger. You know, my mother, in the last year of her life, taught me so much. How to have a disposition to see beauty in the midst of such suffering. The weekend before she died, I was there, and a woman that was helping take care of her had her in a wheelchair, and she was outside, and she was talking about redoing her garden, and the landscaping wasn't quite right, and she stopped. And a friend of mine was with me, childhood friend was with me, and she said to him, "Do you see how beautiful that flower is? How lucky are we?" He was blown away. We went for a beer after, and he said, "How does she do it?" I said, "I don't know, but I sure wish when that moment comes that I can be like her." Julie, I remember this story and bring some levity to it. Julie told me Julie's my wife, for those of you who don't know. Some of you might have got a little distracted, but she said, I don't know when it was, but it wasn't too long after she met my mom, she said, "I have never met a mother and son more alike in my life." That's true. All the other stuff wasn't true. But I tell you what, I took that as the highest compliment. And she knows it, because I would always tell her, "Thank you very much." I think that would annoy her a little bit, because it was usually when my mother was getting on her nerves that she would say it, you know. And one day, I don't remember the details, but my mom was doing what only she could do, and she said, "Apple tree." That was Julie said, "Apple tree," right? The apple doesn't fall from the tree. And my mom's like, "Apple tree? What do you mean? What is apple tree? Why are you talking about apple trees?" And Julie's looking at me like, is she crazy? Why does she not know what I'm saying? She said, "The apple, the tree, the apple falls close to the tree." My mom's like, okay. But that's what it was. And you know, I am so blessed to have had her in my space, and I mean it in so many ways. I mean, my father passed in 1992, 25 years, and her joy of life was remarkable. And I hope that I'm breathing her and my father into this space so you can feel what it is they gave me. What the world needs now: a cosmopolitan vision for St. Francis College. I'm trying to move this thing, but I don't have to point out that the world has grown more unpredictable and somewhat more chaotic, even as or because it grows more interconnected. The declining cost of transportation and communication in the 21st century has drastically increased the contact between people across national boundaries. The internet and cellular service enables real-time interaction from different parts of the globe in ways we couldn't have imagined 10 years ago. Cheaper shipping costs provide monetary incentives for businesses to move production abroad, seeking greater profits. In the process, increased engagement between national economies allows for worker remittances and foreign direct investment to play a role in the global marketplace, again, that we couldn't have foreseen. Because of the myriad ways that domestic decisions are now intertwined at the global level, seemingly remote occurrences have significant potential to affect the well-being of distant populations. Put somewhat differently, the drastically altered relevance of national borders in the age of globalization will force educators and practitioners of all stripes to consider ever more seriously the scope and impact of their work. I would argue then that one of the responsibilities of educators here at St. Francis College is to inspire our students and to provide them the tools necessary, including a moral compass, if you will, to negotiate the difficult terrain that lies ahead. Make no mistake, I believe firmly that the next generation of leaders has to be educated differently than in years past. And of significance, world leaders need to emerge from different parts of the globe. Stanley Hauerwas, a theologian, once remarked in a talk that people who want to rule the world go to Harvard. No offense to the Harvard folks, but that may be true. But if one believes that the world is the way it is because it's the way we want it to be, maybe we should give other folks an opportunity to lead. I believe our students have the grit, the fortitude, the joie de vivre, graciousness, and life experience necessary to lead differently. They bump up against a world representative of the world's people in ways that make them conscientious of others and the challenges that people face. They live in an environment where they have to negotiate complexity and nuance daily. It is our burden as educators to channel their talent, their dispositions, and to let them believe that there is no reason the next leaders of the world should not come from St. Francis College. After all, our graduates include numerous political leaders, both national and political, CEOs for the world's top financial institutions, CEOs and executives for numerous nonprofits, making plain our commitment to service, world-class teachers, professors, healthcare practitioners, entertainers, and athletes. I'd like to share a little known fact. In one of our country's darkest hours, St. Francis College was front and center. On the morning of 9/11, New York City Fire Department Commissioner Thomas Von Essen, class of '72, found himself in the midst of the most challenging day of his career. And when his first deputy commissioner, Bill Feehan, died at Ground Zero, Von Essen chose another alum to serve, Michael Regan, class of 1980. Over at the NYPD, the first deputy commissioner that day was Joseph P. Dunn, class of '69. And the director of the city's Office of Emergency Management was held by another alum, Richard Shear, class of '76. Think about it for a moment. People at or near the top of the most important service agencies on 9/11, all St. Francis College graduates. So let us imagine a college committed to educating and forming its members so that they all strive to be peaceful, contemplative, intellectually astute, joyful, compassionate, creative, courageous, and service-focused warriors. I use warrior intentionally. The world is in desperate need of exemplars who are willing to sacrifice and willing to take risks as they challenge us to live up to our espoused commitments. Warriors that recognize the importance of accepting full responsibility for creating conditions where all people have the opportunity to live a dignified life. You see, although sometimes we think it's heroic when someone volunteers on Saturday at a homeless shelter, in my view, the real heroes are those that imagine and work to implement a world where homeless shelters are unnecessary. Consider the fact that if you ask someone a basic question like, do you think we can colonize the moon? They tell you, yeah, it's just a matter of time. But if you ask those same people if they can imagine a world where no child goes hungry, they tell you to stop being so idealistic. Think about what that tells us about our priorities. We should let our compassionate and moral imagination lead us so that we can honestly say that we did our part to ensure that the arc of the universe does, in fact, bend toward justice. A short digression is in order. Some argue that a college education should prepare students for the real world, whereby they mean the world of industry and commerce. What else is there to life? Joy, love, death, sorrow, beauty, virtue, wisdom, friendship. I argue that we need to prepare our students and each other to become people who value friendship and community, who strive to live humbly, caringly, compassionately, and generously. In short, people who live fully. The claim here isn't that instrumental justifications, higher paying jobs, sellable professional skills, high scores on graduate exams are wrong. But insofar as education is defended primarily in terms of enhanced practical outcomes, advocates and defenders fail to articulate one of the most important justifications, namely being disposed to the practice of reflecting on, discussing, and evaluating the question of what sorts of lives we ought to live. Sometimes we think we're being deeply philosophical when we ask ourselves, is there life after death? Colleagues and friends, what I want us to think about is, the question is there life before death? What does it mean to live before death? We're on a journey. It's a finite journey from womb to tomb. And the question is, who are you going to be in the meantime? Are you going to live lives of service, or are you going to live selfishly? A community of peers and a community of scholars who come to appreciate and investigate the world in quite varying terms will enable the growth of our students and each one of us. It is essential to our formation. Keep in mind, every educator's basic hope is that students will come to realize through their exposure to a college community that life is quite complex, and attempting to live a life fully requires us to engage in unimagined ways with the world and those who inhabit it. That living a fully human life means thinking significantly beyond economic concerns, even when we recognize they have a rightful place in our thinking and acting. That living fully means putting yourself in situations that appear frightening and discomforting. That aspiring to be excellent means exposing yourself to the possibility of failure. That being educated doesn't mean going to school and earning a degree. It means developing holistically. So, what if there was a college situated in the heart of the world's most culturally, socioeconomically, religiously, ethnically, and racially diverse city in the world? What if there was a college that decided that educating its students in the midst of the cacophony and chaos of an urban center is the only way to prepare students for life in the 21st century? What if there was a college where students had the opportunity to connect directly with community leaders, business leaders, political leaders, social entrepreneurs, and more? What if there was a college where students could be exposed to cutting-edge healthcare research, the reformation of the largest school system on the planet, the epicenter of music innovation, and of an arts community that is second to none? This is the learning environment that we have the opportunity to live into, an opportunity that will require bold risk-taking, and it's not for the faint of heart. But I will tell you, I believe firmly this is what we're called to do. As we teach our students the difference between a calling and a career, between a vocation and a profession, we must challenge one another to realize that the greatest gift we can give to the world is to live lives of service in and for others. We are called to invest in our students, in our faculty, and in our staff to enable all members of the St. Francis College community to live, learn, and aspire in the world's most impressive human ecosystem. And we must invite the world to take notice. As we imagine this college, a college rooted in a commitment to radical hospitality, to character formation, to interfaith dialogue, to creating conditions so that students will learn the technical skills necessary to navigate a 21st century workplace, while never losing sight of the importance of ensuring that all students learn to cultivate their humanity. We must be prepared and willing to take risks, to act in ways that may feel uncomfortable, and we must do it with an uncompromising focus on designing and implementing a world-class learning environment for the 21st century and beyond. By 2022, the expectation is that we will be educating 3,000 students on our Brooklyn campus, students who will continue to be representative of the diversity that we see around us, both in Brooklyn and beyond. This includes opening our campus to the world and inviting over 300 international students to participate in the transformational experience on our campus, modeling our call to global citizenship. As aspiring citizens of the cosmos, we should remain vigilant that our learning environment mirrors and reflects the diversity of the world around us. By 2022, we will have seen significant growth in our graduate programs and our online and hybrid offerings as we try to adapt to a technological age while not losing sight of the value of importance of face-to-face and human-to-human interactions. A focus on healthcare and human services broadly understood is critical. By 2022, our health-related programs will be fully enrolled and will continue to set the bar quite high. Already, our first nursing cohort had licensure pass rates of 92%, proving that if we think mindfully, deliberately, and collaboratively, we can achieve great things. Expanding our community partnerships to guarantee our students challenging and rewarding practical experiences will be critical. Relatedly, we will continue to celebrate and support foundational science programs, ensuring that they continue preparing disciplinary experts while supporting our more professionally oriented programs. Be on the lookout for us doubling down on our commitment to producing more school teachers for New York City. We know that even though many have come to undervalue teachers, they are in the best position to change the world. Empowered and supported teachers are change agents par excellence. Focusing on the need to have teachers who are certified in special education and English as a second language, we will be hiring faculty, expanding our collaborative partnerships, and recruiting from a wide range of prospective students. Our Troops to Teachers program is a testament to our commitment to men and women who have chosen to serve our country, and to our recognition that teaching is one of the world's most noble professions. By focusing on one of our greatest strengths, we will also be investing more heavily in the business arena with special attention paid to accounting, finance, and entrepreneurship. By 2022, we should double the number of students enrolled in these programs, not only because these are programs that have job placement records and career success numbers that stack up against the most recognized programs from across the country, but because we at St. Francis College are committed to educating accountants and financiers that have a deep appreciation and devotion to others. As I said, the real heroes are those that imagine and work to implement the social conditions necessary to eliminate the need for soup kitchens and the like. And while we work to be counted among the leaders in healthcare, business, and education, we cannot forget our rich history of providing a strong liberal arts foundation, grounded in the humanities and social sciences and present in all of our programs. By 2022, we will strengthen this foundation by increasing our commitment to interdisciplinary programming, the funding of labs and centers which provide the research base for such work to take place, and which will help us fulfill our promise to educate the whole person for a full relational life. To achieve these goals and provide the richest possible learning environment for our students, we will have to reimagine our facilities. By 2022, you will witness the conversion of a number of our spaces so that we can allow the arts to sing and dance more conspicuously in our midst. New York City and Brooklyn, in its own right, are the epicenter of the arts. Their presence should be felt in all we do. We need to invest in a vision for our library that keeps pace with advances in technology, but also provides a learning environment conducive to our commuter population. By 2022, we expect the creation of more state-of-the-art classrooms so that our faculty can innovate and allow their creative energies to inform their engagement with students and with their research. We also need to create more informal gathering spaces for our students so they can be at home, even when away from home, and enjoy the richness of experiences available here and in our Brooklyn campus. And importantly, we need to upgrade our athletic facilities. By 2022, our athletic programs will be setting the standard for what it means to underscore student and student athlete. A program that will tell the world that you do not have to compromise athletic prowess for academic excellence or commitment to community. You can have it all. We will set the standard in the conference and beyond by winning on the court, in the classroom, and in community. We aren't going to be shy on the court. Be on the lookout for NCAA appearances in men's and women's basketball, men's soccer, quite possibly women's soccer, a Final Four appearance by our water polo teams, and more. Also be on the lookout for some expansions in those areas. Some of you may not know our student athletes are among the academically elite students at St. Francis College. Our women's college team has been in the nation's top 5 teams in terms of GPA for the last 5 years, finished this fall with a 3.76 GPA. We had other three teams with 3.5s or higher. You can have it all if you focus on it. But as I hinted earlier, we must be bold. We must invest heavily to ensure we can make our vision a reality. Also, we must push ourselves to be long-distance runners, challenging one another to consider a horizon that extends beyond a few years. Minimally, we must adopt a 10-year plan, all the while recognizing that we must stay nimble. We will be preparing to launch a public fundraising campaign in the upcoming calendar year, and we'll continue conversations about monetizing our capital assets so that we can invest upwards of $200 million over the next 10 years. We must hire more faculty members so that our students have access to professors who have the ability to be fully engaged in the life of the campus. We will hire staff, and especially in support areas, to ensure that when we accept the student, we have the structural conditions to ensure their success. We will continue to raise funds for scholarships so students who are motivated and inclined can have access to a St. Francis College education. We will focus on promoting and financially supporting international experiences for our domestic students while inviting the world to St. Francis College. Recognizing that I have some community partners in the room, and given that I shook some of your hands, it's important to emphasize that we will have to lean on the community while also doing our part to help them understand why we are an asset, why our students are an incredible untapped resource, and letting them know in what ways they can be collaborative. We will continue to work with the city and the state to invest in this infrastructure. They have been partners, and we need to continue to have them as partners. I believe this is all possible because what I see is a board of trustees ready to step up and serve even more faithfully than they have in the past. What I see is a faculty willing to reimagine our pedagogical and curricular practices so that students are learning in the most up-to-date ways, and so students themselves come to see creativity and innovation as fundamental to their lives. What I see is a staff and administration devoted passionately to the place, the people, and the success of the college. And to reiterate, what I see is a student body that has the grit, fortitude, graciousness, and life experience necessary to lead. As a reminder, this is for the board, this is a time for us to be bold as we let the world know that we are here, that we aspire to excellence, and that we will always keep our students first. It may be daunting, but if we are scared to say it out loud, we have no chance of achieving. Lifting every voice, we will need to sing proudly that although we are a small college, our capacity to dream, to imagine, and to create a community where all have an opportunity to live a dignified life, where all members of the St. Francis College community take seriously the command to love thy neighbor, we will not only espouse this, we will enact this. As I close, I want to share with you the closing verse from a poem by Luis Rodriguez titled Perhaps. Perhaps when love has become the embers of what we hate, the residue of what we've destroyed, we will come to know that love is a stream that flows through each and every one of us, the water we thirst for in the desert of our days, the ocean from which our tears, full of unmet desires, surge and flow. Dear colleagues and friends, I believe what the world needs now more than ever are living examples of people who strive to live lives of loving service to themselves and to others. I believe sincerely and optimistically that St. Francis College can be a living example of what it means to strive to live in a beloved community. I can only hope that I will find the courage and the fortitude to do my part to guide us at this point in the college's history so that we may be beacons of hope for all those who choose to come here and even those beyond. I thank you very much for your presence, for your support, and importantly, I ask for your prayers.